whatever side you feel comfortable with, straight down the middle. This is it, the go-getter attitude, and this is what we like. While I get my bits untangled, it's Abs of October Red, and I'm joined by Dazn's very own Alfie Sharman. Is that right?
That's right, yeah, Alfie Sharman. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Even better to meet you. Dazn, the dream, how it started, and where it's going. A summary to start off, and then I'll start digging bits at you that intrigue me.
Yeah, well, the dream was always, but we're a global sports, multi-sports global platform, right? So that was always the dream, to distribute that to as many markets as possible. We're now available in over 200 markets, so job done with certain rights, top-tier rights in many markets. Our major focus at the moment is making it a sports destination. So not just live sport, but we've got archive, other features for fans to enjoy, whether that's betting, whether that's watch parties, whether that's merchandise. Obviously, core live sport is still our bread and butter, but we want people to come onto the Dazn app all the time and stay there for as long as possible.
The diversity with Dazn, the idea, how did it start up, the birth of it? Forgive me, because I only ever knew about the app when obviously Eddie Hearn, Matchroom said they were coming over to use Dazn as a broadcaster.
Yeah, well, I've been at Dazn for 5.5 years now. It's quite a long time. So I actually worked in the other part of the business before boxing, which was exciting. In the aggressive launch plans in the US and Japan and Germany, Canada, Italy, Spain. This wasn't our own tagline, but the press was very much the Netflix of sport. You know, as you can imagine, for obvious reasons, there are synergies, but we're obviously very much moving away from that now. But yeah, look, I mean, it was an idea, came out of an idea, and with good backing, with confident goals, and lots of hard work, we're in a very good place, and here we are.
The expansion then, because I made the assumption, like I said, I make quite a few assumptions, and they're usually wrong, that Matchroom was going to be exclusive, that Dazn was going to be exclusive with Matchroom, and then we saw other platforms. You're doing work with Wasserman, because I just presumed if a Wasserman show's on Dazn, it's going under the umbrella of Matchroom. So talk to us about kind of the diversity with Dazn and what you're prepared to offer all other promotional companies.
Yeah, well, look, our philosophy has always been, and will continue to be, in order to bring consistent live sport and value ultimately to customers, everyone has to play in the same playground, right? So yes, we've got a fantastic relationship with Matchroom. We've had it for a very long time, and it's growing and it's getting better and better. But we also work with Golden Boy in the US exclusively. We also work with Wasserman for our Misfits property, as well as now signing Josh Taylor, to name a few. And we've also taken fights on other broadcasters in other territories. Obviously, what we have is a global platform. So yeah, to answer your question, Dazn is a destination for sports fans in the markets that we're talking about here, UK and Ireland and the US. It's boxing primarily. We obviously have PFL as well, Professional Fighters League, UEFA Women's Champions League, All Elite Wrestling, Champions League football for women. So, but the more we can get on there, the more value, the better our platform is, and obviously the more happy customers we have. So yeah.
You've touched on something there, kind of like an exclusivity. You've got Wasserman now under the umbrella as a direct promoter, not going through any other promoter, Wasserman direct. You spoke about Josh Kelly. Is that kind of like you've got exclusivity rights? So Josh Kelly, when he fights under Wasserman, his promoter, that he only airs on Dazn. Is that something that's happening going forward?
No, so this is a specific fight. Obviously, Josh is, he had a fantastic last performance. Very popular fighter, Olympian. So again, we're really happy to have him on our platform and can't wait for the 24th. And whether that takes us on a longer term journey with him to his world title, who knows? But as I say, our ethos and our attitude is always the door is open to have that conversation. We've got fantastic partners that understand that philosophy, and understand equally that the best way for them to grow and to work is to have a similar attitude.
I like what you've done with Misfits, because Misfits kind of it came out of the blue. Dazn were there to support it in the beginning, obviously linked in with Cali, with Wasserman. But then the success that you've had from that, the eyes that this crazy sport, this crossover sport brings to Dazn, subscriptions obviously increasing, you made that business decision to say, you know what, we can work with this model. Let's take a risk and sign them for 5 years, exclusive broadcasting rights. That decision, when I kind of like, it's like crossover boxing. Do people really take it serious? Were you worried about what the boxing fans were going to say? But you was like, no, we're going to do this.
Yeah, I mean, look, we ran a very, very successful. We did KSI Logan Paul 2 or 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I believe. It's a great success. From that moment, we clearly identified that there was an opportunity. Now, what we are not expecting people to say are the diehard fans who are maybe going to watch Lara versus Wood. If X Series isn't for you, no problem. You don't have to watch. We'd love for you to try it out, but we don't expect everybody to enjoy it. It's not everyone's cup of tea. However, what we need to acknowledge is that there is a younger demographic, and we're very fortunate that we can use boxing as a sport and a platform to engage them, because obviously YouTubers, musicians, ex-sports stars are taking to fight sports as a way to lengthen their careers and increase their profiles. Again, it's another avenue for Dazn to engage, and we're very proud of it. To your point, you know, we saw from our first event in August last year, of the 90% of the audience on the night was new. So, you know, from a business growth point of view, it's certainly meeting our objectives, and we're very, very, you know, we'd love to cross-pollinate, but that takes time. But yeah, it's a really exciting property. It's wild, but it's exciting and very passionate audience as well.
And just a bit of a personal question, you know, because you work with lots of different promoters, from the professional boxing to crossover. Well, I could do, but I won't. Working with different promotional companies, and not really favoritism, but this element of trust. Do you have that element of trust crossing over to all the promoters? Say, for example, there may be clashing fight dates. Dazn are going to have to pick which one they're going to do. You've got Misfits with the fantastic numbers, and then there may be, you know, a Matchroom show on the same night, or maybe a Wasserman. How do you guys, or how will you, should that be a problem in the future, how will you overcome that hurdle?
Yeah, well, look, within our own ecosystem, within our own broadcast system, so prime example was a few weeks ago with Joe Cordina in Cardiff. Yeah. Traditional boxing fight, amazing fight. You know, congrats to Joe on that. Obviously a brilliant two-time world champion. Later on that night, if you wanted to stay up, and we had a New Orleans show on X Series. So, you know, within our own platform, we can schedule it as such so there aren't clashes, and actually that makes for quite a nice viewing experience in one place. However, I mean, this Saturday is a prime example. We've got 3 amazing fights on one day, right? Let's be honest, it's not the first time that's happened, and it won't be the last time. It's not ideal for the broadcasters, but it's fantastic for the fans, and it shows the sport of boxing is really in a healthy space. So, yeah, I mean, when we can, in our control, we will try and schedule it in such a way that people can enjoy everything. But there are instances where things are out of your hands, right?
And forgive my ignorance, say if that does happen, and it's all the companies that you work with, is there a possibility having a Dazn 1, 2, 3, say if the fights are there, and you can broadcast multiple shows for the different fans on different channels under the Dazn broadcasting system? Could that work?
Yeah, so if you log into Dazn, we obviously have various simultaneous events, and you can just click and enjoy, as well as you know, similar kind of model to lots of streaming platforms. We have a tile set up where you go in and you can enjoy events, and we run simultaneous events quite often. So there's variation, and come back to my earlier point. Variation is how you're going to grow en masse, and how you're going to retain at the level that we expect ourselves to.
Yeah, it's just the fact of possibly having 3 different boxing shows on at the same time, and then it's like the promoter saying, you know, that loyalty question comes in. That's what I meant. Say a Wasserman. In
that case, if they were all Dazn fights, we would obviously make sure that didn't happen.
And that is a correct answer.
Yeah. If they're all on Dazn, as I say, we will schedule. You know, we work very hard on our scheduling, making sure that we've got a nice steady amount of fights for our customers to enjoy, and ultimately give them value for money. Look, 3 fights in one night on one platform may seem like value for money in one place, but actually that may mean further down the line 6 weeks with nothing, which we're not in that business. So scheduling is very important for us. Yeah.
And a final note to end this on, final question from me. Is there anything else that Dazn have got up their sleeve, something that's new, something that's happening, something that's in the pipeline that you'd care to disclose to us on this channel?
Yeah, well, look, this year we've just done a deal with PFL, Professional Fighters League. That's a new property that we have worldwide and in Europe, excluding the US. But it's an incredibly exciting property. Obviously, lots of signing. Clarissa Shields is signed to it. Jake Paul now. Francis Ngannou has recently just signed to PFL. So that's a property that's very much in its infancy on our platform. But we've seen some great engagement early. Their ticket sales for their events are really strong. There's an event coming up in Berlin. They're taking it global as well. They really share our passion for growth. So that's a property to keep an eye on, I would say.
We like it. Thank you so much for your time. It's been interesting speaking to you, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, it's great to meet you, Abs. Thank you.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.